Pokemon Red with one Pikachu was fun, but it's December, so let's end the year with some hardcore challenges. Today's the day that we figure out, would I be able to beat Pokemon Fire Red without healing at a single Pokecenter? Not only is it obviously going to be brutal because of the lack of free healing, but the lack of being able to safely restore power points is going to be an even bigger issue. This is actually harder than my Emerald no Pokecenter run, because my pickup ability strategy won't work in Fire Red, the experience share is far later in the game, and there's nothing as tanky as Makihita early in the game to use Struggle with. Also, no items in battle this time. Like always, I'm writing the script as I go through with the challenge, so all of this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if you think I can win or not. I really doubt that I can win this one. For as much studying as I do for these, I'm kind of winging it on this one. I haven't been able to come up with a good plan, so I'm just gonna jump in and try it. Let's explain the rules. No healing at Pokecenters or equivalent places like beds. No whiting out, because if we white out, we actually heal at a Pokecenter. That's not allowed and would give us a cheap way to recover our team. Cheaper than items, at least. So if I lose a battle, I have to restart the game to the last point that I saved. So no losing just to heal. To make it even harder than the last one, no items in battle, just held items, and items between battles are allowed. Other than Pokeballs, of course, I need to be able to catch things. No glitches or exploits, and no using legendaries, that would be too easy. Lastly, no PC abuse. I'll explain that later. Let's do this. At the start, I pick Bulbasaur, partly because he's awesome and partly because I really want Vine Whip for the first two gyms. We have a mandatory rival fight at the start, but after you win, the game auto-heals you and restores your power points anyway, so at least we won't have to worry about how well we do in that battle, just that we win it. I do the regular starting game chore of getting Oak's parcel, while getting all the free potions that I know of in the area. Now that the game opens up a bit, it's time to formulate my strategy. First, I start catching some Pokemon with our starting Pokeballs. I make sure to grab a Mankey for a solid fighting type, as well as two Spearows to deal with the bug catchers and the grass Pokemon from Lasses. So here's my opening strategy. I go to Viridian Forest with Nox, our Bulbasaur, at the front of the party. If I run into a wild Weedle, I run away to save money on antidotes. If it's something that I can fight though, I switch to Spearow to take him out. Half the experience goes to Bulbasaur so I can start leveling him while saving his power points for Misty and Brock. Considering these are mostly first form bug Pokemon, they give very little experience, so this takes a while. So while I do that, let me explain the no PC abuse rule. Fire Red is Gen 3, and in Gen 3, Pokemon are automatically healed and have their power points restored if they go into the PC. Obviously that's a problem since we're trying not to get any free healing here, so I've come up with a rule. If I deposit a Pokemon, I have two choices. Either I have to fully heal and restore the power points of that Pokemon with potions and ethers before I deposit it so that there's no gameplay difference by putting it in the PC, or I have to never withdraw it again to avoid it being healed for free. I think that's about as fair as I can make it. By doing that, there's literally no gameplay impact whatsoever to using the PC. That also means that if I want to catch something, I have to make sure there's a slot open on my party so that they're not auto-healed by being in the PC from the catch. Anyway, eventually Nox is at level 10 and learns Vine Whip, so before Brock, here's the team. They're a bit banged up since they don't have full health when I catch them, and the wild Pokemon did hit some of them a little bit. Stores don't sell revives this early in the game either, so I have to save in between every few fights to make sure that I can go back if anyone faints so that I don't find a way to ruin the whole run this early. Getting into a point of no return while not being prepared and having to start the challenge over is a big fear of mine. I make these videos on a soft time limit of needing to have one ready every week after all. Anyway, I use a potion on Nox and save the game. Brock time, and it goes exactly how you'd think. One-shot sweep with Vine Whip. It's a great move, but it only has a max of 10 power points, so we only have 8 Vine Whips left unless we find an ether to restore it, so I have to be very careful. I have to grind up more Pokemon just to progress in the routes past the trainers. The wild stuff I can catch in the previous route just isn't strong enough to beat those trainers without some training, so mostly I catch low-level Pidgeys because they're nearby, and train on Metapods and Kakuna. This is exactly as slow as it sounds like. Walker and Burchell, my grinding Spearows, fainted to some trainers, and it's too early for revive, so we're probably going to be permanently boxing them soon. And again, every time I catch a Pokemon, I have to make sure that there's room on the party so that they're still hurt and missing a few power points from the fight. Honestly, it makes nearly no difference other than the price of a potion and maybe having 2 less power points, but some guy complained in the comments section of the last one, so whatever, let's make this incredibly hard challenge slightly harder. On the route east of town, I catch a male Nidoran and call him Dreamer. Then I start leveling him the same way that I level Nox. I'm sure a few people are starting to catch on to my naming scheme here. I'm looking for you in the comments. Anyway, the plan is to evolve him into a Nidoking early in case I need something to grind my way through wild encounters with struggle with to save our power points for the rest of our team, like I did with Makihita in the Emerald run. Nidoking is tanky enough that I can do it somewhat safely, but it will be expensive on potion money, and money is very tight this early in the game. Also, Nidoking's not really as good for this strategy as Makihita was, so this is kind of imperfect. After some more Metapod grinding, I move on to Mount Moon, where Dreamer evolves thanks to being able to easily double-kick Geodudes. Later in the very same room, we get a Moonstone, and I instantly use it on him to make him into a Nidoking. I could save him as a Nidorino longer to get more moves, but with how many things he's gonna have to grind his way through, he'd run out of power points in under an hour anyway. On my way through, though, I took the Helix fossil. I knew that if I didn't say what I took, you'd all ask. Actually, now that I think about it, everyone ask anyway. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. After a little mild grinding, it's Misty time. First is Staryu versus Nox. It hardens and uses a Water Pulse for almost no damage, as 2 Vine Whips take it out. Starmie hits Swift and takes us to half health as we put it to sleep and don't do much on a Vine Whip, so I Leech Seed and put it to sleep again since I'm at low health. One more Vine Whip wins us the battle, but we had to use more power points than I anticipated. That's not good. I'm trying to grind a little bit more before the rival, but this is a really terrible area for grinding without a Pokecenter. The wild Pokemon have things like Quick Attack and Poison Sting, and there's nothing that isn't dangerous at this level. Also, I can't just catch something to easily beat a bunch of the Pokemon in the same area. The type advantages just don't line up right. Not only that, but Dreamer has 30 Leers that he needs to waste before he can use Struggle, and nothing safe to use them on. Plus, money is tight, and I can't just buy 1,000 potions and Pokeballs. We need to get to the next city before this challenge gets easier. We need to win this rival fight, but look at his team. We don't stand a chance right now. We have 1 double kick left for Rattata, and maybe low kick would be okay enough if we level up Yoshi more, but I've got nothing for Pidgeotto and Charmander. I need to level. Rival time, Pidgeotto versus Nox. We take a Sand Attack and put him to sleep, then seed it. He wakes up fast and Sand Attacks us again as we manage to hit a tackle. Somehow our next sleep powder still hits as it's getting whittled down, so I switch for Rattata since my accuracy sucks and stat changes don't carry between switches. It wakes up and takes out Rattata quickly, so I switch for Spearow. Gus takes us to half health, but the seeds finally whittle it down enough and take out Pidgeotto. I switch to Nox for Rattata and put it to sleep and seed it to try and stay healthy. He wakes up fast though and keeps hitting as we miss a tackle. I put it to sleep again and switch for Dreamer and try to brute force it with my last double kick, easily finishing it. Should have done that in the first place, honestly. I'm a little bit brain fried from the grinding. Third is Abra, and he can't fight back, so I take the opportunity to have Dreamer use 21 of his Leers to get him closer to being able to use Struggle. Once Abra uses Struggle, I switch for Pidgey and finish it off with the 1 Gust. Last is Charmander, so it's back to Nox, and I get hit by a critical Ember, but hang on and put him to sleep and seed him. That was terrifying. I switch back to Pidgey again as I plan to throw away my weak Pokemon while the seeds whittle him down. I start building Sand Attacks for safety, and get 2 in, then start laying in with Gusts as Charmander wakes up and misses twice before going down. As much as the trainers north of town are hard at our low level, I'm just happy to be making money again. We only had 4 potions and money for another 5 left going into this rival fight. Thanks to a weak bug catcher, I was finally able to run out of Leers on Dreamer so I can put his high stats to use with Struggle. I take damage doing it, but if I'm incredibly careful, I should have just enough money to make it to the next city without running out of potions. Mostly thanks to the Nugget on Nugget Bridge getting us enough money for another 16 potions. This strategy is far from foolproof. Here's me fighting a Hiker's Onix. I could potentially take a lot of damage from an individual Pokemon battle, and it's especially bad when it's a trainer with multiple Pokemon since I can't use items in battle. Eventually I managed to get to Vermilion City, mostly thanks to Dreamer learning Thrash, and I talked to the lady at the Pokecenter to get the Versus Seeker. This lets us rematch trainers not only to grind, but more importantly, to get renewable money. That means that as long as I'm still very careful and save often, I always have a source of money. Now that I have to worry about that a bit less, I go back and fight some old trainers while using the swap strategy to level up some of my Pokemon that still have power points to spare to prepare myself for the SSN rival fight. An hour later and it's rival time. I start with Yoshi just to switch for Dreamer like I'd been doing to level him, since I knew that I would want to squeeze another level in on him. Two struggles take down Pidgeotto as we take a bit of damage. Dreamer takes Kadabra down in one hit, so third is Raticate. I take a ton of damage off a critical Hyper Fang as two struggles take him down, but my health is just too low. I switch for Yoshi against Charmeleon. Karate Chop hits hard, but he growls to lower our attack. Ember takes half of our health, but we get in enough chops to win the fight. Now, as much as I want to get to Celadon ASAP for those cheaper healing items, I decide to catch a Drowsy first. Not only is it my favorite Pokemon, but Hypno will make for a solid Psychic type to deal with the Pokemon at Pokemon Tower. I spent most of Rock Tunnel training him up by switching with Nidoking. Normally Rock Tunnel is pretty rough in these challenges, but Struggle is typeless, so it does a passable job on the rock types you find in here. Finally, I make it to Celadon City and rush for the vending machines. Lemonade is half the price of Super Potions and gives you 80 health back rather than 50. These are probably going to be my main source of healing for the entire rest of the game. Time to fight Giovanni. Onyx is out first, so I switch from Richards to Dreamer so that Richards gets experience, then I start struggling. Onyx spams Harden a lot, but poisons himself with Rage due to our Poison Point ability, so he goes down easily. Back to Richards, then back to Dreamer for Rhyhorn as well. It goes the same way for a while, but Dreamer's health is getting low by the time we win. I switch for the already hurt Yoshi when Kangaskhan comes out, but went down to one Mega Punch, so I switch for Dreamer hoping to poison her. I ended up getting Tail Whipped a bunch, then Mega Punch down, so Richards is back out, but goes down to one Mega Punch as well. Next is Nox, and I get bit and flinch. This is bad. We both miss for a round, then I get bit and flinch again. Finally she tail whips, and I hit Sleep Powder and Leech Seed. Then she wakes up and Mega Punches us down again. This is really bad. Pidgey is out, and thanks to her using Tail Whip again, the seeds finish her off. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to rematch some trainers to get money for revives now that I can buy them. After that, I go back to Vermilion real quick to take out the Electric Gym. Thanks to Dreamer being part ground type, I swept my way through without much issue. We didn't really need this badge yet, I just wanted to get this out of the way. Next is our rival in the Pokemon Tower. I have Dreamer struggle down Pidgeotto quickly, although it does get elongated a little thanks to Sand Attack, so we lose a good chunk of health. Richards is out to deal with Execute with Hypnosis. We resist each other, but at least Richards can tank psychic moves pretty well, so I start laying in with some headbutts and take him out in no time. Gyarados is out, so I keep out Richards to put him to sleep. I try for Confusion and crit for half its health. Thanks to good sleep luck, I take him out before he wakes back up. Kadabra is next, and I switch for Dreamer to brute force it in one shot. Last is Charmeleon, so I keep struggling, and he goes down in no time. With that done, we can get the Pokeflute. There's actually a free healing point in the tower that you can't normally walk around, but if you bait this trainer into walking to you correctly, then you can pass through without actually getting your free heal. This way, I'm able to completely avoid the free heal and keep this run's integrity intact. With the Pokeflute now, we can head south. Now that I'm in Fuchsia City, I need to do the Safari Zone to get Surf. But while I do that, let's address what I know people will ask, since so many of them asked in my previous Emerald No Pokecenter run. There's a move deleter, why don't I just delete a move and then relearn an HM over and over to always have power points? Well, there's two parts to that answer. One is that I personally consider that against the no exploit rule. I could see an argument for it being fair, but personally it just kind of feels wrong to me. My second point is that it would be insanely boring. It takes out a massive amount of the difficulty from this run in the most boring way possible. At least with me using Struggle, it's difficult, it's expensive, and it has a lot of strong negatives that make it a difficult strategy. Just relearning an HM over and over has literally no drawbacks, it's just really boring. Kinda defeats the whole purpose of this run, right? At least to me it does. So our next big problem is that I really want the experience share because it would massively speed up grinding, but this jerk won't give it to us until we own 50 different kinds of Pokemon and we only have 13. So what do? As if you need to guess. I fly all around the world catching Pokemon. Occasionally, I'll have a free spot on my team to use one of the Pokemon to help catch other Pokemon, but for the most part, I just let them go straight to the box since I'm never going to use them anyway. Those Pokemon would of course be invalid in this run, I'm not allowed to withdraw those. After getting up to 35 Pokemon, I decide to take on Koga, the Poison Gym Leader. Since we just learned Surf and Strength, his first coughing goes down easily from Dreamer. I switch to Richards for Muck and try to put him to sleep as he raises his evasion, but Confusion hardly hurts him even when it hits. It doesn't take long to go down from Sludge. Dreamer comes back out and I try to brute force it with Critical Strength. I keep him out for another coughing, and even with all of his healing, I take him down in a few hits, but between said healing and my missing, I lose a lot of power points that I just got. And again, I refuse to delete and relearn HMs for unlimited power points, so these are pretty limited. Last is Wheezing, so I send out Nox, but get one shot. Oddish is out, but also goes down in one hit. I try to burn it with Hardy, but he gets one shot. Finally, Dreamer is out, and Surf hits hard, but he starts smoke screening me. My health is dire when finally a critical Surf lands, winning me an incredibly close battle. With that, we can surf now, so I go to Cinnabar Island and replace our Pidgey with an Aerodactyl that I named RVD, along with a Tentacool I catch and named Regal, and a Growlithe that I name Hardy. I think that's everyone I want for my team. And again, I caught those ones when I had empty slots on my team so that I don't break the rules. I feel like this is the point where everyone in the comments section who is going to know what I'm referencing with these names has already figured it out. Finally, after more Pokemon catching, I hit level 50 and get the experience share, so I start farming for money and levels with the Versus Seeker at the north end of Cycling Road. This is a great spot due to there being so many trainers in a small area, and they're poison types so they hardly hurt Dreamer. It's still really time-consuming to slowly buy healing items from a vending machine and then get experience for my team through an experience share, but at least it gets the job done. The next rival fight is against level 35 to 40 Pokemon, so I leveled the team up to 33. Finally, it's Silph Co rival time. This one's always hard. Dreamer starts with Pidgeot. We hit hard, but right away he's using Feather Dance to drastically lower our attack. We take him out fast, but we have to switch to remove the debuff. I send out Hardy to deal with Execute, and he's left with a sliver off Flame Wheel, but we get paralyzed before we can finish him. I send out RVD for Alakazam and fly as he lets off a Future Sight. We land a huge hit and finish him with Wing Attack without being hit. Richards is out for Gyarados, but he doesn't tank Future Sight as well as I had hoped. With Dragon Rage, we're almost done, we miss Hypnosis and get finished off easily. Next is Nox, and Razor Leaf does passable damage. Then he switched to Charizard, so obviously I switch for Regal, but get hit hard by Flamethrower and Wing Attack. Bubble Beam does decent damage, but we go down. Dreamer is out, and 2 struggles do it, but our own health is pretty low. Gyarados is back out, and I keep struggling, getting a crit and taking it out for the win. After that is Giovanni. I have Regal start powering through Nidorino with Bubble Beam. It goes well, as I only take about 30 damage in the process. I use Dreamer against Kangaskhan to match Brute Force for Brute Force. Even at double the level, I end up taking about a third of my health and damage due to struggle. Nox one-shots Rhyhorn as you'd expect, so Regal is out for Nidoqueen. Bubble Beam does decent damage now, but Nidoqueen is a beast and Scoop Slams us for the 3 count. Richards is out and Confusion nearly took her out, but we took a Body Slam before ending the battle. I should have just used Psychic, but I was worried about power points. With that done, I can finally take on the Psychic Gym. RVD one-shots Kadabra with a Wing Attack, and Mr. Mime is out. Bite didn't do much, but it made her flinch, so I Wing Attacked for big damage a few times for the win. But I do take damage in the process. Third is Venomoth, so I fly and take it to a Sliver, but it confuses me, heals, and we hit ourselves. 2 Wing Attacks do the job, but our health is terrible. Alakazam is last, and he lets off a Future Sight as we get a big Wing Attack, but we go down to Psychic. I send out Hardy, but get one shot with a critical Psychic, so I send out Richards to tank the Future Sight. Alakazam uses Calm Mind as Richards uses Headbutt. He hardly survives a second Psychic, and surprisingly manages to get the knockout, earning us the Marsh Badge. With that done, we move on to the Fire Gym. Bubble Beam isn't enough to one-shot Growlithe due to our levels being far too low. But his takedown wasn't too bad, so a few more hits take him out while he heals. Ponyta did surprising damage with Stomp, but went down to the same combos with Growlithe. Rapidash hits a massive Fire Blast, but we resisted it and are decently defensive against special moves. We do a bit more damage but go down and have to switch for RVD, so I end it with Ancient Power. That may have been a bit overkill though, I should save power points on that. Last is Arcanine, so I switch to Dreamer for Brute Force. His Intimidate lowers our attack as he hits hard with Fire Blast. His second one burns us, dooming us quickly. We go down and I switch for Richards, hoping to hit hard with Psychic, but it didn't do much and we went down fast. Next is RVD, and weirdly enough, we're faster and managed to take him out with Fly. I didn't see that coming. We're on quite the boss rush now. So next is Ground... Wait, did I forget the Grass Gym? Whoops. The Grass Gym is a sweep with RVD. How did I forget to do that sooner? Now it's time for the Ground Gym. Razor Leaf one-shots Rhyhorn, but Dugtrio is fast and does some big damage to us with Earthquake, and hangs on, but he's at low enough health that he needed a potion. I meant to take him out, but Nox got far more hurt than I was ready for. I switch for Regal to deal with the Nidoqueen, and a critical Bubble Beam leaves her with a Sliver, but one Earthquake is all it takes to make us faint. I have Dreamer move in, but she heals back up, so I lose half my health trying to beat her. Nidoking is next, and I switch for Richards to hang on from Earthquake, although Psychic did less damage than I was hoping for. We feint to Earthquake, and I switch back to Dreamer again, who easily ends it. Back to Nox, who one-shots Rhyhorn, and we finally have the last badge. With that done, we can go on to the pre-Elite Four rival fight. I have Dreamer start grinding down Pidgeot, and through some nice luck, he got poisoned early from our ability, although we do get nailed with a Feather Dance, ruining our attack power. I switch to RVD for Alakazam, but go down to one Psychic. Back to Dreamer, and we easily take him out thanks to him wasting his time with Calm Mind. I keep him out for Gyarados, but Hydro Pump hits us hard, so we don't last long. I'm just lucky that it missed, and I got more damage in. I have Nox use Razor Leaf, and it takes a few hits, but Gyarados doesn't seem to have anything to deal with us apparently, so it wasn't too bad. Charizard is next, so it's back to Regal, but his wing attack hits us far harder than we hit him. Regal goes down and I switch for Hardy. Our rival uses Flamethrower for some reason, powering us up thanks to our ability. He switches for Rhyhorn, and I decide to just power my way through with Flame Wheel to preserve my power-up. Execute goes down in one hit, so it's back out to his Charizard. This is his last Pokemon, but he's a beast. Slash hits us hard, and Flame Wheel did almost nothing to him, even with the power-up, so I switch for Takedown, but Slashes take us out like we're nothing. Richards tries for Psychic, and it does okay damage, but we go down in 2 wing attacks. It's incredibly close, and we're both on our last Pokemon, as I go to put him to sleep, but wing attack ends us. That was heartbreaking. I reload a save so that we don't get whited out and grind a bit more. This grind is starting to get a lot more tedious though. Because I have to use experience shared to save on power point usage for harder fights, the Pokemon that I'm trying to grind are only getting half of the experience. Dreamer himself isn't as great at this struggle strategy as Yokozuna was in the Emerald run. To keep myself occupied, I mostly watched the Visnomatic Sword and Shield co-op playthrough. I know that they're already working on a Pokemon Coliseum randomizer playthrough as well. Visnomatic is a fantastic collaborative Let's Play channel that I'm a part of, and it's criminally unknown. Go give it a watch and let them know that I sent you. I'll have a link in a card as well as in the description. Anyway, I get the team to level 40 and try again. This one goes almost the same way up until we get to Charizard again. Even with a crit, Regal hangs on and does a bit of damage with Bubble Beam before going down. So I'm out to Hardy to use Takedown. He hits us with Slash, but then decides to use Flamethrower, even though Slash was working fine. I ended up hanging on from a few attacks and take him down easily, so the biggest threat is gone. Nox slowly takes out Gyarados like last time, and Hardy takes out Execute in a couple of Flame Wheels, winning us the fight. With that win, we just have the Elite Four, so here's our team. For sure, too low level. Alakazam is a meat grinder in Kanto if you don't have a fast physical attacker that can hit him first, so I'm gonna have to grind my team to at least level 50. Before that though, here's the box where I put every single Pokemon that we're never allowed to withdraw again. Pour one out for the fallen heroes that helped us along the way. It's actually less than I expected since we mostly caught our throwaway Pokemon leading up to Vermilion City. I also go and spend some of the money that I've built up rematching trainers to go buy the Ice Beam TM for Regal so that we can use it to take down Lance. The grind was especially bad because partway through, I ended up injuring my hand with tools around the house, both cutting my finger and messing up my wrist, so it was hard to hold the controller, and especially to mash buttons. But I came this far, and it's the first run in December, and you guys know that I don't give up that easily, so I powered on through. Eventually, we ended up with 5 level 50 Pokemon and a ridiculously beastly level 87 Nidoking. Also, have you noticed how consistent the power points are? I actually haven't used a single PowerPoint restoring item the entire game, so I have plenty of them for the Elite Four. After all the suffering I had to go through with the grind, this still isn't going to be the easiest fight in the world, with only one Pokemon above the levels of what I'll be fighting. This is going to be brutal. Make your final guesses on if I can do this one or not. Let's do this. First is Ice Trainer Lorelei. I start by putting Dugong to sleep and laying in with a critical Razor Leaf, but she instantly wakes up and nails an Ice Beam. Another Razor Leaf does quite a bit of damage, but it's not long before we go down. RVD easily finishes it off. Cloyster is out, so I just hit Psychic twice since Cloyster has really bad special defense. It did scatter spikes though, so switching hurts. I keep RVD out for Lapras, but Surf completely wrecks us fast. I switch for Regal and confuse Lapras into hitting itself. Acid does almost nothing on a critical hit, so this doesn't look good. I keep trying though, and I'm getting shockingly great confusion luck, with Lapras hitting herself 4 times in a row, leading to a knockout. I send out Dreamer for Slowbro, and although I do decent damage, she uses a full restore, so I get outlasted, and Surf eventually takes me out. Hardy hits Extreme Speed to finish it. Last is Jinx, an ice type, so I use Flame Wheel for big damage plus a burn, as she hardly hurts us with an Ice Punch. A second Flame Wheel takes her out, so I heal up between fights and move on. Second is Fighting Trainer Bruno. Nox one-shots Onix, so I switch for RVD for Hitmonchan. He never even landed a hit on RVD since Rock Tomb missed, and he had to heal from Fly, so our following critical ended him. Machop is next, and Wing Attack takes him to half health as he lowers our speed with Scary Face. Cross Chop hits us damn hard, but Fly safely finishes him off. Nox one-shots the second Onix, and last out is Hitmonlee, so I have RVD finish it in one fly. Easy fight. I use potions between the fights and move on. Third is Ghost Trainer Agatha. Gengar is building up double teams, so I use Confuse for less damage than I had hoped for. She gets confused and hits herself, so we can easily finish it with Psychic. Golbat bites us, flinches us, and confuses us. We hit Psychic, but she heals, and we hit ourselves. Eventually, we go down to a critical bite, and we have to send out Hardy to try for Flame Wheel, but he hit himself in confusion too. Twice in a row. We took a ton of damage before Golbat went down. Arbok is out, so I have Dreamer tank his way through since he can't get poisoned anyway. I switch for RVD in response to Haunter. I hit hard, but get put to sleep, and he ends up healing off Dream Eater, taking us out in 2 hits. Hardy is back out, but also goes down to Dream Eater easily after only 1 hit. Dreamer is out, and Struggle manages to take Haunter out, but last is our final Gengar. Struggle hits hard as she misses Hypnosis, and a second Struggle brings her to a Sliver. She uses a full restore, but thanks to a crit, it only took 2 more Struggles. I was worried about that one. I heal up between fights and go on to the last Elite Four member. Last is Dragon Trainer Lance. I open with Nox to deal with Gyarados since Nox always did such a good job against the one our rival's been using, and it went pretty well. He ended up realizing that it wasn't working though and switched for his terrifying level 60 Dragonite. So I try to Sleep Powder, but he safeguards. It doesn't protect against Leech Seed though, so I get him with that. Wing Attack nearly took us out, but he got seeded, so we can play the long game if we need to. Outrage drops Nox, so Regal is out. Ice Beam has double type advantage and rocks him hard, as we lost 80 health to Outrage. A second Ice Beam takes him out. Next is Dragonair, and Ice Beam takes him to low health, but we get paralyzed. Next round, we end him though. Gyarados is out, so it's back to Richards to go for Psychic, but he doesn't do much. It does lower his special defense though, so although I go down to Hyper Beam, Hardy is fast and ends it quickly. Next is his Aerodactyl, so I go for Ice Beam on Regal and hit hard, but Ancient Power finishes us off, well buffing all of his stats. It takes forever, but Dreamer ends up fainting to a Hyper Beam, so Hardy is out once again to finish it off. Last is his Dragonair, so I keep Hardy out and hit hard with Extreme Speed and Takedown until Lance is done. That was close. I heal up, restore as many power points as I can, including on Dreamer, and move on to the final fight of the run. Finally, we're on to our rival, the Pokemon Champion. Dreamer hits Pidgeot hard with Strength, but gets hit with Feather Dance and loses a lot of attack power. I end up having to switch to Surf, and randomly our rival switches to Gyarados. That was weird. Well, our attack is down 3 stages now, but we critically hit with Strength, bypassing it for an easy knockout. That was crazy lucky. I switched to RVD to deal with Alakazam with Ancient Power, but he puts up a Reflect to tank the hit. He then randomly switches again, this time for Rhydon while I was using Fly. I switch to Nox and get hit hard with Earthquake, then miss my Razor Leaf. A second Earthquake takes us out. This is bad. I switch to Regal instead, and Bubble Beam is a one-shot. That surprised me. Back to RVD, and we nearly faint due to Psychic, but hit hard with Ancient Power. He heals as we hit it again, and he lets off a Future Sight. Eventually, we live him with a Sliver, and he finishes us off. I switch for Hardy and hit him hard with Extreme Speed as Pidgeot comes back out, and Hardy gets hit with Future Sight for massive damage. We actually end up going down through bad missing luck and Pidgeot being pretty strong, so I send out Dreamer to finish it off with a critical hit. Executor is out, and I one-shot it with Dreamer's incredibly powerful Bug-type Mega Horn, and finally I send out Richards to face off with Charizard. Fire Blast misses us as we put him to sleep with Hypnosis and start hitting Psychic, lowering his special defense and doing passable damage. With fantastic sleep luck, we get 3 hits before he uses his full restore. Finally, a Fire Blast hits both our great special defense, we survive the first one, although the second one finishes us off. We're back out to Regal, take massive damage off a Fire Blast, and we hit the final Bubble Beam, getting us into the Hall of Fame and crowning us as the new Pokemon champion, without ever using a single Pokecenter, Legendary, or even withdrawing anything from the PC. No deleting and relearning moves, no items in battle, and in a game that has no story points that automatically heal you past the tutorial fight. This was a brutal challenge. Genuinely, I had to study hard, and I still feel like I couldn't come up with a really great strategy coming in. And honestly, I had moments in Cerulean City where I thought I was going to have to restart the whole run. I can't believe I pulled that off, especially without items in battle. December is still going though, and I'm going to keep trying to do your most requested runs. That means that next Saturday, I'm going to do my absolutely most requested run that you guys all ask for. A run of Pokemon Emerald with only one Shedinja, the Pokemon that only has 1 health. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. If you want to see me do more challenges like this, please let me know in the comments or on Twitter. I can always use more ideas from you guys on what I should do next. Also, check out the playlist in the description to watch all of the Pokemon challenges that I've already uploaded. If you want to see more Pokemon stuff from me, my friend Whatageek and I just finished a Pokemon Black and White randomizer over on his channel, and we're soon moving on to a Gen 1 randomizer. Also, come to my Twitch TV streams and let me know that this video sent you. It's always cool to hear how you found the channel. Thank you so much everybody for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.